first time I've sat down with anybody before. This may or may not ever see the light of day. We're just kind of testing things out because this is kind of how we do things here. If you guys don't know who this is, you guys probably do, but this is Michael Leib, founder of Canvas MX, Lucid Manufacturing, former pro racer that we are trying to get to race again.
The ship's sailed. It's gone.
So if you guys know his dad kind of would make a joke on Instagram and I would kind of bounce it off of him and we kind of go back and forth.
You don't realize though, like the impact
that has.
Yeah, because I get called by my dad all the time, and especially when he gets fired up and has a couple glasses of wine.
Oh yeah.
One more race. One more.
If you chose, would it be Supercross or motocross? Hypothetical.
Supercross. Easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Would it be way easier?
You can borderline come off the couch. Like I went off the couch in 2019. I did Houston, one race.
Yeah.
It was a Triple Crown. I hadn't raced in like a year. And I went with 4 days of riding. Yeah. On a subpar bike. And I think I went 12.9, and then I kind of crashed in the last.
What year was this?
That was 2019, but I still got a top 10 in one.
So that's not even that long ago when you think about it. Like it really isn't.
Yeah.
See what I'm trying to do here?
Yeah.
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 The reason I think why is because, and a lot of people also don't know this. This is the other thing. So Leib was the first person to ever give me an opportunity, and I've told you thank you on posts and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, in a stage like this, I figured thank you for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate that.
Thank you for dealing with my unorganized,
as you can tell. So we're here filming something to help with a Canvas release that's coming up. And we were talking about doing a sit-down kind of interview type thing, and I was just going to do this as a test. It's kind of going pretty well, so who knows? This might actually be posted.
This might be number one.
It could be number one. You're the first person ever on one of my vlogs, even though I only have one episode, and you'll be on my first sit-down interview. So you're taking a lot of firsts from
the winery. Wow, a lot of virginities, a lot of deep cuts. The winery shoot was sick.
That was fun.
I did for a little while get a little tipsy.
Yeah, well, because we had to do a lot of tips, and I kept making you drink more and more. But the good thing is we did all the riding before that happened, so we didn't have to worry about that too much.
We didn't do any riding before that happened.
Oh, we didn't. Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. I thought we did. Mm-hmm. Oh, crap.
And then you forced me to jump over wineries.
It wasn't over a winery. I did not do that. I told you shouldn't do that, and you still did it anyways. There was
barbed wire. There was dangerous objects.
It's your own fault. It's not my fault. So going back to the riding thing, is the reason why I think it would be an easier transition for you to go to moto than it would be for Supercross is because I've seen you ride Supercross before in the past, but I've only seen you ride moto tracks because when I do go out and do shoots and stuff like that, we go to moto tracks, and you rip on a moto track. Like I think the first time we did the Canvas Label Series 1, and you went out there and you were just joking around like, oh, I think I could throw it a little bit, or I think I could do this to get some good shots. And you go out there and you freaking whip the thing like it's nobody's business. You know what I mean?
I've always, like, I'm not saying that like I have the biggest whips, I don't. Whipping came easy for me. Like, I remember I have this photo of me on a 65. Mm-hmm. I wonder where I can find this. And I am dead flat on a 65, and I had to be 11. Yeah. And it's always just been like.
Was that out here?
The photo I think was from Elsinore. God, I wonder who has that photo. It was cool.
Was it during a race or a practice?
Just practice.
Oh,
that's when tracks though, like, and you probably remember, but tracks used to be really cool.
Yeah, Elsinore used to be really cool.
A full-on freestyle jump park.
Was that when they had the big 120-footer in the middle with like the camel's back?
I jumped on a 65.
Yeah, I don't think I ever jumped that. I don't even think I ever jumped that when I started riding 252 strokes. I don't think.
I broke my leg on it 2004 or 5 on an 80. I came up short.
So, but did you do a lot of your racing here in SoCal, or because I remember you were talking about how you went to like Loretta's and stuff like that.
I did all the amateur stuff. My problem was, and I just talked about it the other day, was I was always like, because amateurs and little bikes, they're age group. Yeah. I'm small. Yeah. So I was always a small kid getting bumped up too early, like before I was ready for an 85 or a big bike or whatever the next step was. So I got hurt a lot, but I did a ton of amateur stuff. Like I won my first championship was in Mini O's in 2002.
What bike?
65.
65. Okay.
And then I got picked up by Team Green, and then I won my first championship at Vegas in 2003. Yeah. And I didn't win again until 2009.
Yeah, so it took like a little hiatus off.
I had a lot of seconds, I had a lot of thirds. I was still like...
So you're still riding. It wasn't like you had the time off because of injuries or anything.
I was still really good. I wasn't the best guy.
Okay.
And then like 2008, I won my first 3 motos at Ponca, and I was ripping. I was going fast that year. Yeah. And I went to, because Ponca was stacked right before Loretta's. Yeah. And literally broke my femur on day 1 at Ponca. And I thought I was probably going to win Ponca and Loretta's that year. Yeah. Things probably would have changed, but then it was cool because I went back in 2009 and I won Loretta's.
Was that with your interview with Swap where you said the femur was the easier one to come back from?
Yeah, I broke in 2 femurs. They're the easiest thing.
Because you just get up, right? Like, and they make you kind of go.
Well, if you rod it.
Yeah.
If you played it.
Oh, yeah.
Because once you throw a rod in there, your weight bearing immediately
is way different. Yeah.
So and they don't even tell you. First time I broke it, it was a full mid femur break. It was really bad. They rodded it, and like they don't tell you before you go into surgery that when they wake you up, you have to walk because of blood clot risk in your.
Oh, so they want it to start flowing and going and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like it's super weird because obviously the femur's like one of the most painful bones. Yeah. But when it comes back and you start.
How old were you when it happened?
My first femur. How old was I? 2008. I was 17.
Oh, so you weren't that young.
I was 16.
Yeah, so you weren't that young. So like as a kid, I mean that stuff it heals a lot faster as a kid.
You have growth plates and other things though too.
Yeah. And so that's what I was kind of wondering. And then I think the most interesting thing about what you've done, there's a couple things. I think the number one thing, the beginning thing, is you going overseas and racing, and that whole side of your career, I think has not been explored enough, in my opinion, and been talked about enough, and the things that you were able to do, because you look at 90% of the other people, they don't do that. Especially an American doesn't go overseas usually, right?
So 2009 was like housing crisis, right?
Yes.
Like everyone in the economy tanked. Yep. There was no rides, there was no anything, and like Nico, Izzy, and some other guys won Loretta's in like 06 and 07. They all got $250,000 contracts straight out. Yep. And I won Loretta's. My fam. I'm not gonna say I. Yeah. My family paid for bikes. Yep. You know.
Did you guys have any of the companies you had? On Track then?
On Track was there, but the main deal was my dad's pipe company at the time, which he recently sold, but that was Rocket. Yeah.
Okay, so that helps a little bit. I mean, on that side, because you're at least on the manufacturing side of doing that world.
Right, and he was doing motors and pipes and all kinds of stuff. So like,
Dom was doing motors. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, for a little while. I mean, he wasn't like actually doing motors, but we did have a motor development team, and it was all kind of in-house. It was actually sick. Like, we had a full dyno room. It was cool.
Where was that at? Out here?
Yeah, that was over in Winchester.
Did you have a shop, or was it at a house?
It was at a shop. It was a 10,000 square foot building. It was huge.
Did you go through a lot of bikes and motors? Were you pretty heavy on them? You weren't that bad?
It wasn't bad. I was never really heavy on things.
Clutches, motors, all that kind of stuff?
Clutches, my 450 has like 22 hours. I still have the same clutch in it.
Yeah, you don't really rip on, I mean, especially on that thing, you don't really rip heavy on the clutch, I don't think.
250s, it was the same. I was light. Dude, my race weight, like my race weight in Supercross was like 128 pounds. Okay. So like, I didn't weigh anything. Yeah. So, are we going to have somebody come by? Maybe.
If we do, that's fine. I'm not cutting it. Just so you know, this is raw. Raw. This is raw as you could get. If you need to come by, you're fine. I don't know if anybody's over there.
They don't speak English.
Never mind. Nobody's over here. So yeah, we're just going to keep going. Okay. You want to keep running through Euro? You got?
I mean, Euro's deep, dude.
We could touch it on it a little bit. Maybe Euro. One of your maybe one of your like best memories of being there. You've kind of hit on this a little bit, but it just like a fun memory. And then we could go through like some of the things that maybe you could have wished went a little different, maybe.
Riding or non-riding?
Oh, it's so to me I love a little bit of the riding, but the non-riding stuff is a lot of fun. And that's a side I don't think enough people, in my opinion, know. And some riders want to get a little bit more personal. Some riders don't. That's totally on them, and I get it. People need to see more of you and who you are as Michael Leib, not as Michael Leib the racer. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's important.
So, to talk about what I enjoyed and like what was the most fun for me, you got a hint on what led me to that. I went over there to race dirt bikes,
Yeah.
And my first 2 years were the most miserable years of my life.
It was just tough.
I would not be who
Well,
I
you went
am.
alone.
I went alone.
Yeah.
Well, my mom came over a little bit. My dad came over a little bit, but
Yeah.
I spent 90% of my time alone.
Okay.
And my first year was French-based and rough. Dude, like, I cried myself to sleep a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Moving over there at 17, like, I was a mama's boy for sure.
Yeah.
So, that was rough.
Were you close to any like the teammates or anybody that was on the team or anything at all?
My trainer that year in 2010
Yeah.
and his wife were like kind of my European parents after
Yeah.
probably a month or two. But I still spent like a lot of time alone, right?
Yeah.
And like you're over there to race dirt bikes, you're over there to be successful and take that next step, and you've got a small window of time, and
Yeah.
I felt like it was just passing me by.
Did you go with any other American riders at all, or was it just you?
There was no American riders when I was over there.
Oh, so you were literally, out of all the teams and everybody that were there,
Yeah.
you were pretty much the only
I
one.
was the only one. Osborne was there for one of the years that I raced. I
Yeah.
forget which year? Must have been 2011.
Huh.
But
Yeah, he kind
Yeah.
of went that world too, a little bit.
he spent a lot of time over there.
Yeah, and he succeeded, as if I remember correctly. He had some good times
He
over there.
won a GP.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah. It gets
Yeah.
confusing for me.
Yeah.
So like I'm typical dumb American where I'm like, oh, supercross only, motocross only. Like
Yeah.
I think of that stuff in
Yeah.
my head. And is it right? No. Do I start following it a little bit more now? Yes. You know, it is a world that I want to explore a little bit more. I think the racing is incredible out there. But so go back to
the fun part all came from me being forced to deal with the circumstances.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of events that happened where like I finally realized that it wasn't meant to be the way that I wanted it to be, and there was nothing I could do at the time, and that enabled me to fall in love with sightseeing, people
Yeah.
watching. Dude, like, I know how dumb this sounds,
Yeah.
but people watching and understanding different industries and how different people live,
yeah.
like it
Especially
makes,
over there, yeah.
I came home and I'd say 90% of my friends that I had, even at 17, 18, I didn't relate to anymore.
Yep.
I didn't relate to because, especially in California, we're so stuck into what's here today.
Yes.
And there's this whole other world out there that
Yeah.
everyone just has blinders onto.
Yep.
So
was there a lot of people over there your same age at least? Or
yeah, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
So you had a little bit of that camaraderie where you have at least somebody that was similar in age.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be necessarily that they had the same interest in you and everything, but I mean a 17-year-old kid, you know,
You're an American going over to their country taking their jobs.
which is not something that they
I get
appreciate.
it. I get it. I fully get it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and when I left there in 2011, like, I was never going back.
Yeah.
And then
Did you ever go back? Or
yeah,
you did.
and then that's when I got my call for Factory Yamaha.
That's
filling in
right.
for Osborne.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, I mean, I talked about it a few times. I'm sure people kind of know the story if they know me by now, but I went over there for fill-in. First race, haven't rode outdoors in like 7 years, or 7 months, sorry, 7 years. And first moto went from 33rd to 3rd. Next moto went from 4th to 1st. Had a 27-second lead over like Van Hornbeek, or I think Tonus was there.
Yeah.
Ferrandis was there. Like, there was good guys,
Yeah.
but Hurlings crashed in the first turn. He ended up catching me, but that's when they were
You
30.
raced- you
they were
raced the Bullet?
35. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
35 plus too. So 8
yeah.
minutes hit the clock.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
8 minutes hit the clock, and I pulled a tear off, and my hands were both so bloody
Yeah.
that I couldn't even see my grip.
Oh, jeez.
So, matter of fact, I blood smeared my goggle, and I think mentally, I kind of checked out. But then I signed a factory Kawasaki deal for the next year, and that's when things went bad for me. But when I went over there for Yamaha, it was to put my stamp on it
Yeah.
and never go back.
Yeah.
And never go back.
How long did you spend over there total?
Better part of 2010, the better part of 2011, then a little bit in 2012, and that was
So
it.
that's a long time. Yeah. and-
2.5, 3 years.
And then, okay, so give me out of all that times that you were there, give me one of your fondest memories besides you learning how to speak different languages and things like that. I know that you were doing that.
Yeah.
But give me something fun, like something that you experienced.
Ferrari, Maranello.
How rad was that?
So we went and toured like the whole Ferrari facility.
Yeah.
And we got to see some really, really cool like backstage stuff.
Don't they have a racing facility there? Like
Their whole F1 facility
Yeah, it's all on
there,
pre-
even
yeah.
their GT, and they have they've got a full test track too. And yeah, got to drive around.
I was
going
going to say, what cars? Did you drive it or were you a passenger?
Driver.
Were you on the right side? Drove
No,
on the right?
No, it's only England.
Really? It's not there either?
It's only England.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was more countries than just that. I would have requested a right-hand drive car. I'd have been like, I just want to try it.
What's weird is when you're in a normal side car and you go into the UK.
And then you're opposite.
You're on the wrong side. You're on the left lane, and you don't really know, like, I mean, I do, but you don't, that right side of the car that's coming next to oncoming traffic, that side's weird.
All right, so Ferrari was one of your best memories.
Ferrari was cool. Ferrari in the Italian culture, like I tell my wife all the time, I could move to Italy tomorrow and be fine.
I've never been there. That's number one on my list of wanting to visit.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. We were actually supposed to go this summer and it ended up getting canceled. But
the Amalfi Coast and Tuscany and Lake Como.
Is
unbelievable.
Well, I mean, it was a little young, but in Italy, I guess it's not. But because you love wine like I love wine, did you have a love for wine visiting those countries at all? So you didn't even really get to experience
that. And that's one of the things that like I really want to go back for.
Yes.
We did do some wine tours and we drank, to get it wrong. But
you didn't get to like fully comprehend.
Not like I like wine now.
Yeah.
Like I'm in love with wine.
Yeah. What's your favorite wine?
I'm a Cab guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm more Pinot Noir, more Lowe's.
Yeah.
I have had some good cabs though.
Not a lot of flavor in those.
God, we are bouncing around like crazy, aren't we?
I mean.
Yeah, but this is kind of how we do things.
Photo shoot? Yeah, well, let's do a vlog.
Yeah. It's
podcast.
But I don't. Well, it's like one of those things where it's like, screw it. Who cares? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody has to do things where it's like, it's so set and the lighting has to be here. And I'm not happy with the camera angle right now. But guess what? Who cares? Just get it out there. Just post it. It doesn't really matter.
Does my hair look okay?
No, it looks terrible.
You know how many jokes I got about my hair when I took my helmet off? In the video?
When you took it out. Well, what a lot of quick behind the scenes thing about that. This is hilarious too. So we did that where we were going to have them start, or you were going to start the bike and then roll it in and then kill it. But then Jason, who is the head designer here at Canvas, he pushed you in on your bike. So that was in itself funny as heck. Oh my gosh, I was dying laughing just by doing that. But the other funny part is we had to do about 4 takes because you couldn't get your helmet off. You kept messing with your helmet strap.
Because you got me drunk.
I didn't do anything. I didn't force you. Just on record, I did not make him do anything. He did it on his own accord. I did not do anything to force you to do it.
Forced.
He had about 4 takes where he could not get his helmet off. So if you look back at it,
it wasn't totally
Where you're saying that you're getting made fun of is when you take your helmet off, you go to unstrap your helmet, it's not even strapped. You just left it unstrapped so you can take it off. And then, but out of habit, I would have done the same thing as a rider. Is I would have went to undo it, and you kind of see yourself trying to undo it, and you realize that it's already undone, so you just kind of pull it off, and then you take the whole thing off. But I think that, like, again, we're bouncing all over the place, but that wine shoot was awesome and completely out of the wall, or off the wall.
That's what. Canvas is becoming a brand, right?
Yes.
And I race dirt bikes. I don't know how to build a brand, right?
Yeah.
But what I do know is I'm sick and tired of seeing the same things done the same way, time after time after time.
I agree. Yeah.
So, is that the right way to mix it up? Is that the perfect way for us to do it? Could it have been done better? All of the above, but it's different.
I think I do think
cool.
So for me is I'm a rider first. Out of everything that I do, I love moto and I love actually riding more than anything else. I look at it from that standpoint is, okay, was it really core moto? No, it wasn't. But is it still involve moto and maybe bring in something like an outside influence into it? Yeah. Do I think this sport needs an outside influence or an influx of an outside perspective? 1000%. I don't think this industry has enough of it.
Absolutely.
And that's the cool thing is I think you're able to do that because you control the whole aspect of doing all this.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, I'm going to, this person doesn't want to do this. It doesn't gel well with them. Whatever you want to do, we just kind of say, hey, let's put an idea together and let's try this, right? And I think that's a pretty cool process.
We don't have the corporate tape.
No, you don't.
We don't have the corporate tape, and we're breaking molds in every aspect of allowing people to put whatever they want on gear.
Yep.
We're breaking the molds of bringing USA gear manufacturing back to USA for the first time in 40 years.
Yeah.
And we're making gear for other people. And should we shoot and do things the same as traditional gear companies? No, we're not traditional.
And I don't think you should be.
I don't want to be.
I don't think it would make sense.
I mean, again, jumping. Like when I did the white gear in 2015, like canvas was never a desire.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be in the gear space. But what I liked then
you saw an opportunity
that goes with what we are now is we were different in racing. I looked like the Progressive Auto insurance.
Did you have a white helmet too?
Dude,
all white?
I was a cue ball.
Yeah, and
everything was white.
What boots did you run?
Garnets.
But all white?
All white.
Did they didn't hook you up? You just had basically, or did you have a deal with them?
You've
always been with Garnet. Yeah.
I've always rode for Garnet. I think at the time I was still with Shoei, and I just got all white.
But you did
Shoei
white,
helmets,
all white. The ones that like you could get custom painted, but you just don't custom paint.
Everything was white.
Yeah, I think that was something. So when you talk about, this isn't like to put you up on a pedestal. I'm just trying to correlate the two of you seeing an opportunity out there. You saw the opportunity out there when it came to that kind of stuff with gear, and I think you're putting it in that same mindset and that same way of thinking. I think you're putting it here. You know what I mean? And I think is pretty cool. Not too many people think that way. You know,
the core idea of canvas was for racing, for bigger companies to be able to billboard the gear in the way that they do in any other sport. NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, any other sport that actually, MotoGP or whatever it is, you don't see who makes the kit. You see who's paying the bills.
Yep.
And that is something that our sport should use. I use the analogy all the time of like a Dungey with Target or whoever it is. These big teams should be using this instead of getting, are they getting good money from a gear company? 100%. But there's so much more money out there.
Yeah.
And I think I think brands out there would pay more to own the gear and be able to sell that platform, just like they do with graphics.
So like, I don't know what the driver is, but like in NASCAR, I think he wears an Alpine Stars suit, but he has M&M logo. I'm not good with NASCAR, so I'm not even going to try and pretend. But you have a huge M&M's logo, and it's like the M&M peanut yellow of the wrapper or whatever. Yeah. All you see is M&M's, or all you see, and like that's where I'm going back of. This sport needs that kind of mindset, and I think it takes one person to kind of change it a little bit. Then it gets adopted, and then it's like, okay, we should have been doing that the whole time. Yeah. And so I think you're ahead of that curve. I think you're part of the transition, and it takes a little bit of an acceptance, I think. But I think it's pretty cool of how you're kind of doing things.
It's different. I don't think that people fully understand it yet. I think that I'm a little ripe in the current conditions that we're in.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, look at clothing, look at retail, look at any other space that's not Moto. Moto's not changed in 60 years.
At all.
So do I expect people to understand the change today?
Yeah.
No.
What I remember, and I can't remember what the names of them were, but when they tried making the bikes like the full one skin.
Dude.
Did you ever have to run those?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Those are terrible. Those things, I remember Metzger, I think. I remember him running one.
So I rode
a little bit.
I rode for Blue Buffalo in 2016.
Yes. Yeah.
And Larry Brooks was the team manager.
Yeah, which was pretty rad.
The bikes
that had to have been awesome to ride with him.
He's one of my
ride
favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
In Moto especially. Yeah. And the problem was though is we had to run there was Slater skins, right?
Yeah.
So the front thing was like the number plate, and then it literally just teed out, and the handguards were part of the whole thing. Not to mention the side bit, but that was the worst part for me because when you go through the whoops or anything, they were so flimsy.
Yeah.
They would just flap on your hand.
And you would feel it?
Oh my God, you'd feel it all the time.
Yeah.
You'd feel it all the time. I remember even it was windy one time and we were riding at Yamaha Supercross test track and I scrubbed. And they were so big that the wind caught under it where it felt like I got stuck.
Oh, wow.
And I was fine, but...
Yeah, but it gives you...
It actually had like a scary effect to it.
And in Supercross, I've never ridden Supercross, but any tiny little thing I feel like would just make a huge difference.
Huge.
And if it's going to make it in a negative way, it's like, get this thing off this bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
we've got enough to deal with racing Supercross than deal with things. Now, going back to the Slater skin, like I like the idea of it.
Yeah, but it's trying to change something.
I like the idea of it, but I don't know that it works, and clearly it's been tried.
Yeah.
I still don't think that it really works in our world, because like MotoGP, I get it, we could do that, but they don't have mud and all the other overheating issues. They don't have those issues that we do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're gonna I want to do this again in like a longer scale, but this is totally, we literally talked about like, hey, would you want to do this? Like, let's sit down and pretend we were doing it. And then I think it's kind of like a good episode 1. I have no idea what I'm going to call it. I have no idea like what I'll label it, but I think it would be a cool thing to like sit down with different people and get their perspective. I want to get more of the personal side, talk a little bit moto, but also talk about like the fun side of things and like where their brain works. I think people need to get to know you, like I was saying before, get to know who you are as a person, and then talk about all the cool moto stuff too, which is what everybody wants to hear. But I think it's really cool to start getting more detailed into that. So
I think there's so much out there that people don't hit on.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that people fully care.
No.
But
yeah,
I do think that there's a platform out there that should be able to express that side of it. Like,
yeah.
It's just so robotic. I think everything is so robotic. And
yeah. Hey, so tell me about your favorite color. Oh, okay, you ran through that. Okay, tell me about this. You know, like it's every single thing that you see is. And I understand it's not wrong in my opinion because it's what they do. Mm-hmm. It's not what I want to do. Is all. You know, and so that's why I want to do it a little differently. I want to do it impromptu. If somebody walked by, who cares? Like it doesn't have to be a full-on production. It's not what I want to do.
Do the next one in the middle of the mall.
We could actually do that. I don't think that would be a bad idea.
Legally, could you? Could you film it?
Why not? You could do it until they kick you out. I think if we do this fast enough, we'd be fine. And then the security card could be part of it. You could just be like, yeah, you want to sit down for an interview and tell them about your life story, Ron? You know, like
just go live on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, and then, well, I don't want to get too political, but in today's world, everybody gets offended about everything. So I could say, this is offensive. I'm allowed to be here. And what are they going to do? You know, in that world, you have to stay. So,
that's true.
All right. Thank you for sitting down with me.
Of course.
I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys kind of enjoy this. Hopefully it's something that you guys want to see more of. I guess like and subscribe. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Click the link below.
What would there be a link for though? I don't really have much to link.
That's your Instagram bit.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we could put this on Instagram.
You're welcome.
Content creation. All right. Thank you guys. There. Hell yeah, that was rad.